What is going on, everybody? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Happy, happy Friday night to everyone out there. Hope you're having a good, solid Friday night wherever you may be. Maybe you're just, sitting back, chilling at the house. Maybe, you're out and about running some errands. Maybe you're having a good time wherever you are. You're tapping in wherever you are. Appreciate you for watching. So some traditional housekeeping. Y'all know what the drill is, man. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Share it out if you would be so kind. It does help out with the algorithm, and obviously not required. But option is there if you would feel so kind to support. The Cash App is scrolling down at the. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah. Well, I feel like maybe. Listen. I'm not forcing anyone to do it. If you want to do it, be so kind to. It was right there. Had to take it off because it was blocking some stuff. Man, listen, a big weekend for me, man. For those of you who do not know, got a birthday coming up on Monday. Monday is my birthday, December 9th. And, look, it's going to be a big weekend for me, big birthday weekend. Going to be spending it with some family, spending it with some friends, spending it with the people that I care about, man. So birthday is, it always being around the holiday season always makes it feel a little more special. And also the fact that it is during the end of football season, or at least the beginning of the end of football season, which is what we are facing here this weekend. Obviously, college football, it is championship weekend, a big game that's going on in the Benz tomorrow at 4 p.m. between Texas and Georgia. It's going to be a good one to watch. And Sunday, obviously, the big one for me. It is without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't ask for a lot, and typically I don't do this. But I don't express this on stream. But obviously, this is what I want. But for my birthday, I don't care if I don't get any cake, however that may come. I don't care if I get a single birthday dinner. I don't even care if I get a single happy birthday on my birthday. What I want for my birthday is for the Falcons to go into Minnesota and find a way to win this game on Sunday. So that if I can get that for my birthday, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with how my birthday turned out. So let's hope these motherfuckers don't ruin my birthday weekend, even though they've been suspect to do shit like that before. But on a more serious note, Sunday is without a shadow of a doubt the biggest game the Falcons have played all season. It is a very big game on many fronts. It is a game that I really feel like ever since what transpired in the offseason did, this was going to be one of those games we just looked at. Where was this going to be scheduled? My birthday is on the 9th. My birthday is on Monday, but this is pretty much my birthday weekend. So yeah, I'm really celebrating it in many ways. I'm gonna still celebrate it throughout the weekend. Listen, with the month of December and obviously Christmas and all that stuff, I pretty much celebrate my birthday on and off throughout the month. I kind of get a pass because of the holiday season. But no, my birthday weekend is my birthday's on Monday, but this is my birthday weekend. But anyways, there's without it no doubt that before even the schedule came out, this was one of the games we were looking forward to the most, to see where would the NFL put this game, how early would it be, how late would it be, and all the talk, and we all know why. Is this going to be a Sunday night game? Is it going to be a Monday night game? Is it going to be a 4 o'clock game? It is a 1 o'clock game late in the year, and it is the biggest game of the Falcons season. I think that I don't want to say that they will play, but up to this point, it is absolutely a must-win game. This is a game that, needless to say, you have to go in and find a way to win. And that's the position you've put yourself in now. After 3 weeks that have been as bad as it can get for a team that is looking to make a playoff push, a team that at one point was 6-3, sitting comfortably in first place in the division. Didn't look like there was any. It honestly looked like we might win the division by default because of how much Tampa was teetering and how awful the Aints looked, and obviously Carolina. So with where things have headed this past month is obviously not ideal for anybody. But look, the division is now tied. It is now officially a 2-game race. And that leads me to what is on the screen. And I'm going to do this every week until this division race is solved. That's probably going to be through the rest of the season. As you can look at it, the Falcons' remaining schedule and the Buccaneers' remaining schedule. And both teams you would definitely probably look at and say have winnable games on there. And, both teams you would probably say they're not going to win out. They're going to drop a game at some point. But when you're looking at these two schedules, there's no doubt that Tampa only really has one game that sticks out record-wise, and that's at the Chargers. Whereas the Falcons obviously have to go to Minnesota this Sunday and are still going to have a date with Washington, and the time of that game, is TBD. So ultimately, the position that you're in with the Falcons is this game is a must-win. Because if you want to keep track with Tampa, with how their schedule is looking, you have to be able to come out on Sunday and win this game in Minnesota. There's no beating around the bush. You have to find a way to win this game, because I've been saying this all week. This Sunday, even though it's not going to decide the race for the division, after this Sunday, we could have a very clear picture of what this division is going to look like heading down the stretch. And if the Falcons lose and the Bucs take care of business versus the Raiders, I'm telling y'all, that is going to be a very Tampa would take the lead in the division, even after the work the Falcons put in, outrunning the Buccaneers twice this season for their dear lives to keep the season alive. The Falcons would still be out of first place in the division. And then you would probably be relying on Tampa at least losing another game, probably honestly losing 2 more games. Which, look, is it impossible? No. Tampa still has 2 division games remaining. And you look at the teams on the schedule, and, we're going to look at this. The Bucs, the Raiders are, not just going to be a cakewalk. The Raiders have shown that they have fight in them. At the Chargers is obviously going to be a tough game. They're playing really good defense right now. At the Cowboys on Sunday night, that's probably the toughest game. That is, I think, a game you honestly look at and say Tampa could lose that game, because Dallas has been playing a little bit better. Now, Is it going to result in the Cowboys doing anything? I don't know. But they have been playing better. It is in Dallas. So that's a 50-50 game. And then you look at the two division games at home to end off the year versus Carolina and versus Saints. Those two teams have been playing better in the past few weeks. But look, Tampa is probably only going to be clear underdogs in one of those games, whereas there's already going to be two games that the Falcons are going to be clear underdogs in. So, and they're both on the road at that. So the Falcons are going to have to, outside of taking care of their business in the three games that they should win, which we know is not a guarantee, are going to have to go into either Minnesota or Washington and pick off a win. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't know if I feel comfortable having to win 4 straight to close out a year. I know it has to be done sometimes. I just don't know if you can put confidence in this team to do it. That's why I think you got to go into Minnesota Sunday and pick off a win to at least for us as fans to feel comfortable. This team should not be feeling there is no more being comfortable this season. Let's make that very, very clear. There is no more being comfortable this season. The moment the Atlanta Falcons feel comfortable again, with where they stand in this season, is going to be when this season is over and they're on the couch. There's no more being comfortable. From this point on out, for everybody, it is sweat, blood, tears, you name it. It is all going out on the gridiron. And yeah, that's just where we stand at this point. The Bucs have a game versus the Raiders this week that I think a lot of people would expect them to win and take care of business in. And the Falcons got a tough uphill battle in Minnesota where they are currently 5.5-point underdogs. So this is really a point where the Falcons are going to have to prove a lot of people wrong. After, man, CPG, shut the fuck up. Y'all could have helped us the fuck out, and y'all didn't. Y'all fucking blew it in typical Panthers fashion. Motherfuckers. And fucking looking like us out there. You motherfuckers. Y'all gonna do what y'all always do. Y'all ain't gonna be shit. Y'all having to play spoiler for a reason, cause y'all ain't been shit in years, man. But anyways, we need y'all to play spoiler for Tampa. That's what y'all need to fucking play spoiler for. This game Sunday is obviously very big. Outside of this, I'm not gonna argue with that shit. Yeah, we've fucking done this shit to ourselves, but now it's a 5-game sprint to the finish. It shouldn't be this way. But sometimes it's how this shit fucking goes. And we've been dealing with it for a long ass fucking time. But just because it is this way, don't mean we just throw in the fucking towel now. So outside of obviously, the big significance in terms of the division this weekend, this game is big for one other reason. Kirk Cousins, who spent 6 seasons with the Vikings, got them to the playoffs twice. Really, in many ways, you can say stabilized the Vikings quarterback situation after the mishaps of Teddy Bridgewater getting injured, and obviously they had Case Keenum the year before they got Cousins when they went to the NFC Championship. But Kirk Cousins gave Minnesota, a quarterback they could rely on. And there is no doubt that as Kirk's time in Minnesota went on, especially for a quarterback who was already 30 years old for much of it, he did something we see, but we don't see too often, which is a quarterback in their 30s really getting better as their career goes on, kind of getting better with age. And that's what Kirk Cousins did in Minnesota, especially those final few seasons. You really saw Kirk become a quarterback that Minnesota could rely on to win big time games for them. Minnesota was prone to pulling off the upset. And before he got injured last year, Kirk was arguably having an MVP type year. So it goes without saying that Sunday's obviously for everyone, I think, on the Viking side and for Kirk. This game is absolutely, no matter how, it's downplayed or whatever. This is absolutely a big game for both sides. There's no one that I think can deny that. Minnesota, they are firmly in NFC playoff position. I believe they could clinch a playoff berth this weekend. Actually, I don't know if it's just a win and you're in. I think they need a little more help. But Minnesota is definitely looking to try to keep pace. They're hoping that Detroit can slip up once or twice, and maybe they could potentially get back into that division race in the NFC North. So they're really just trying to keep pace for that. And the Vikings have won a lot of one-score games this year. It's kind of like how it was a few years ago when they had Kirk. They're winning a lot of these one-score games. That's kind of been the mojo of the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell. And that there's a lot of connections in this game, man. It really is. O'Connell and Raheem Morris were both together as the offensive and defense coordinators in LA for that Super Bowl year. So there's a lot of connections that are flowing within this matchup. A lot of relationships, a lot of who knows who. That's kind of how it rolls with this matchup. And I really feel like that is what's going to make this a much tougher game than I think a lot of people think. Because here is one thing about a veteran quarterback, about Kirk Cousins. And, a lot of people might suggest that this is just a false sense of hope. This is just blindness. And perhaps it is. But after the awful 3-game stretch, the worst 3-game stretch of Kirk Cousins' career, that has had a lot of people, including myself, very dissatisfied and honestly questioning the investment that we made this off season, and how much longer will it last. This is absolutely a big spot Sunday for Kirk, and this really might be one of the bigger games that Kirk has played in his career, just from the standpoint of him having something to prove, him really having to prove his worth to a team like the Falcons, who paid him a lot of money in the offseason to go and win these types of games, be in these types of positions and succeed. It's one of the things that the Falcons did not have last year at the quarterback position. When things got shaky, things fell apart. And honestly, it's kind of looking like the same. We went into that game in New Orleans, and it really, in many ways, looked like the Falcons were not prepared, did not bring the intensity needed for that rivalry game. And ever since then, they've been collapsing slowly but surely. It has been a steep decline. Obviously, the disaster in Denver, and then just the absolute bumfuck performance versus the Chargers from Kirk, where he probably played the worst game of his career and single-handedly cost this team that game. I'm telling y'all, if we could be at 7-5 right now, that's way different than sitting at 6-6. It is. But this is now the position you've put yourselves in, where Sunday you cannot accept a loss. If there is a loss on Sunday, I really do feel like it is going to be a very tough mountain to climb for this team. I truly and honestly do believe that. But a lot of people will tell you in the media that the Falcons do not have a chance to win this game, and that's just not true. It's just not true. The Falcons, I absolutely believe, have a chance to win this game. Number one, the Vikings' mojo this year, as I mentioned, have been these close one-score games, have been them, pulling away at the end with a win. And you really want to take a look at it. They did it against the Packers, where they had a big lead, but ultimately they had to pull away with that game. They did it versus, and especially the past few weeks, they did it versus the Bears and they did it versus Arizona. They pulled away with a lot of these close wins. They did it versus Jacksonville. That was a game they could have easily lost. That was a very ugly game. They found a way to win. The Vikings' mojo this season in many ways has been just finding ways to win, and you got to respect that. You do. I'm not hating on that. But they're going to give you an opportunity to win this game because that is just what they've done. And listen, Kirk knows that place. It's not like Kirk is going into it. Yes, it's going to be hostile territory, but Kirk has played in the bank, has played in US Bank Stadium for the past 6 seasons. He knows that place in and out. So that's what really I feel like adds a lot onto this and really adds a lot of expectations on Kirk, because after these awful 3 games, how does he bounce back? What is this guy's mental toughness? Is this guy going to absolutely collapse and piss on himself and embarrass us again and prove that we once again as a franchise have made an absolutely stupid decision at the quarterback position? Or is he going to make a lot of people eat their words? And is he going to come and pull out this win? And this was kind of the thing heading into Philadelphia early in the year, where the Falcons were really kind of in a position where you just came off a tough loss to the Steelers and you had the Chiefs coming up. And it was almost kind of, no one expected you to win this game, but you almost kind of had to make a statement in that game. And Kirk did. He made a statement at the end of that game, and he wheeled us to victory. That is something we're going to have to see on Sunday. We're going to have to see Kirk in many ways wheel the. I don't want to say that because I got another point coming up. I know who we really need to rely on in this game. But when Kirk has that ball in his hands, we're going to have to see him making smart decisions. We're going to have to see him really putting some zest on that football, fitting it into the right spots. That's what we're going to have to see, because there's a lot of speculation about what is wrong with Kirk. We're really going to see Sunday. We are really going to end up seeing. But outside of Kirk Cousins, obviously the big story of this game is Kirk Cousins, rightfully so. When we come out of this game, the name we need to be talking about is Bijan Robinson. I just saw something today, and it's really interesting, where the Vikings struggle against running backs. They struggle bringing running backs down. I believe they're like second or third in the league for most missed tackles on running backs. And we know that one of the things with Bijan is that we really just have not seen him break off a long run where he makes guys miss multiple tackles at the second and third level of the defense. And, that creates an opportunity for him to take it to the house. I really feel like you're going to get at least one of those opportunities on Sunday. You're going to get an opportunity to break a very big run. So ultimately, you got to create it. And the thing with that defense, that Brian Flores defense, they're obviously going to be very aggressive. I'm guaranteeing you Flores is going to come out and is going to try to show immense pressure. And how you get out of it is really getting the ball. You really want to talk a lot about these outside zone runs. This is the game to do it. This is the game to do it. Do not overthink it. Use their aggressiveness against them. They're going to come out because they're going to come out and they're going to try to expose Kirk. They're going to try to get him rattled early because one of the things with Kirk, and we've seen this a lot, when Kirk has these bad games, you can tell he is rattled early. That game versus Pittsburgh, he was honestly rattled at the thought of TJ Watt. That Seattle game, you could clearly tell he wasn't right. And that game versus the Chargers, you could tell he clearly wasn't right. And he was clearly rattled by what he was seeing. So you have to do a good job, Zach Robinson, at setting your quarterback up for success in this spot. And having that morale, treating that morale properly throughout the team. That is the job of the offensive coordinator. So Sunday, the game plan absolutely should be, as the game goes on, setting up play action, a lot of stuff quick and out of the quarterback's hands, getting Drake London involved on those short slant routes. Maybe looking for Darnell Mooney here and there. Ray McLeod is obviously a speed guy. Maybe do we finally get another Kyle Pitts sighting? If he puts enough effort into his routes, that's just a whole different conversation that we don't honestly have time to have right now because we got bigger shit to handle. But we're probably going to definitely have to talk about it at some point. But this is a game on Sunday where you're going to have to lean on Bijan Robinson. And look, you're going to have to get Tyler Algier involved too, because Tyler Algier, we have seen, he can absolutely mow a defense down in the second half, but you have to get him going early. You really have to warm him up to really go in there and just and I'm telling you, just lay the hammer down and just hammer them on defense. That is what you got to do. It has to go through the running game on Sunday. They're going to come out very aggressive with a lot of blitzing, and you're probably going to look at that as play action. But, when you do pass, it's got to be stuff that develops quickly, and that is definitely why you come out with the running game early. That's what Arizona was doing last week. Arizona was really doing that. It's just Arizona, they let their grip on that game away. They did. And that's why Minnesota was ultimately able to come away and win. Now, as far as the defense goes, they played without a shadow of a doubt their best game of the season last week. They held Justin Herbert to 147 passing yards. 117 of them were to Ladd McConkey. At the same time, they really didn't have a running back. They had Gus Edwards and that other kid, and that was it. So they were not able to run the ball for shit. That is not going to be the same case on Sunday. It's not. The Vikings offense, they have proven that, once again, they are very productive. And they really run a lot of their stuff through their running back at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a very important part of Minnesota's offense. And I think one of the keys for the Falcons is going to have to be stopping Aaron Jones. We're going to be looking at, I feel like, one particular matchup with this defense, but we really have to prioritize stopping Aaron Jones because that is what the Vikings like to do a lot of their stuff based off of. That's how they like to set up their offense. But obviously the big matchup that everyone's going to be looking forward to on defense is Justin Jefferson versus A.J. Terrell. Justin Jefferson probably the best receiver in the NFL against an AJ Terrell that you honestly don't know what you're getting out of him every week. Now, I personally feel like AJ has been playing a little better recently, but we know that just as you start to let your guard down with AJ, he'll give up one of these awful games. So there's no doubt that you're probably going to have to include Jesse Bates in a lot of those coverages against Justin Jefferson. And there's probably going to have to be at some point a lot of double teams. That could open up the door for Jordan Addison. So the bottom line is where the defense really was at this past Sunday versus the Chargers, I liked it, but you're going to have to continue to grow on that. And that's going to have to include, I got to say it, making Sam Darnold see some ghosts. And we've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. This kind of feels like a spot that Jesse Bates has to get another interception or make some type of plays, and also continue to do what you were doing up front with generating pressure, whether it's rushing 5 or confusing the quarterback with how many are rushing or whatever, bringing blitzes in. The defense that we saw last week, whoever was in on it, needs to continue it. And if it was Jimmy Lake, if it was Jerry Gray, or whoever, needs to continue that type of work, because that is how you see growth within your defense. Now, all in all, I will say that a lot of people are not going to give the Falcons a chance because they're going to look at how we've played the past few weeks. I definitely feel like there's a chance that the Falcons can go into Minnesota and win. Matter of fact, I think there is a really good to even great chance that the Falcons can win this game. It's just going to have to come down to execution. It's going to have to come down to execution and being on point and understanding what you're playing for. This isn't the fucking time to slack around at this point. It's not the time to slack around. This is the biggest game you're going to play all year. You got to come out, but you can't feel that pressure and you can't let that pressure get to you. That's why this is a spot where those veterans are going to have to step up and really be a presence. And we're going to see what Kirk is made of. We're really going to see where that $180 million is going. It's put up or shut up time. Set it on X. It's put up or shut up time, man. And it is time to go out and prove a point. As far as 3 keys to victory go, let's go into 3 keys of victory. Number 1, getting Bijan Robinson involved early. That is a big key to victory, especially on a lot of those outside runs. Finding the weakness in the Minnesota defense when they are going to be blitzing. Maybe throwing some toss plays in there, getting him, out to the wide zone. That is really going to be a big part of winning this game, is going to be ensuring that you get Bijan Robinson involved early and often in this game. Second key to victory, you got to generate more pressure on Sam Darnold. Now, listen, Darnold is a gusty guy. He's a gusty scrambler. He can improvise a lot, and he's really up and down. But if you rattle him early, he's going to make mistakes. That's just the quarterback that he is. So, ultimately, that is going to have to be a big point of emphasis, and it kind of goes into that. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a big part of it, but I would honestly probably expect that they are going to try to pick on the Falcons secondary. I do. I feel like they're really going to try to pick on this secondary, and test AJ Terrell. That's where you got to bring pressure on the quarterback and obviously still keeping Aaron Jones in check. But number 3, the third key to victory, Kirk. Kirk is going to have to show up. He's going to have to make the throws. He's going to have to do what is asked of him. This is obviously a spot you'd love to see him go in and throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Is that going to happen? I wouldn't put the bank on it. What I would want Kirk to do is make the throws that are necessary, put him in positions to succeed. Obviously, this offense has to go through the running. That is what this offense has to go through now through the end of this year, whenever that is. It has to go through your two-headed monster in the backfield. Because listen, that's what Tampa's doing. Tampa is getting Bucky Irving involved. They are giving him the load. And we see it is working out. Obviously, we saw it last night with Detroit. Once again, we've seen it all year. Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. What's another running back? There's several of them. And that is what the offense runs through. That is what this offense is going to have to start running through, is Bijan and Algier, and them really taking over games, both of them, in their own unique ways, because they can absolutely be an amazing running back duo. But you have to let them operate. And then that is going to open up the rest of your offense. That's going to open up Kirk being able to hit Drake London and hit guys like Darnell Mooney, and maybe even hit Kyle Pitts from time to time. Who knows? But you really want to see Kirk make those throws and not be on any bullshit. So ultimately, I feel confident in this game. I do. I feel like the Falcons are, set up in a position where they can win this game, and I'm going to pick us to win this game. I am. I feel like this is a spot where you have to come out and win, and the veteran presence that is on this team is going to have to step up. But at the same time, Minnesota is a beatable team. In Minnesota, I feel like at the same time, man, they are due for a loss. I really honestly feel that they are due for a loss. So I'm going to say the Falcons win 31-23. I don't think it's a total blowout. I don't think the Falcons are going to go in and just absolutely dominate this game. But I feel like they can be in a position to where they control this game and they pull away with a win to really put them back atop the NFC South. Because here's one thing about it, and you look at, I have both these schedules up. The Falcons can only control what happens on the left-hand side of this screen. They can only control these final 5 games. And if you control what you can control in those final 5 games and you take care of business, you will win the division. It is not until you start to slip up and fuck up that you got to rely on other teams to bail your ass out. And we thought we might have had our asses bailed out Sunday until the Panthers said, oh, nah, go fuck yourselves. So ultimately, man, look, this is a very important spot on Sunday for this Falcons team. But I feel like it is a spot we can win it. I do. I feel like Minnesota is a beatable team. But we got to come in with the right attitude. And these mental mistakes we've been seeing the past few weeks, it is a no-go at this point. It is a no-go. We're going to have to see this team coming in, playing flawless football, not turning the ball over carelessly. Listen, Kirk hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since November 3rd. At some point, that's got to change in this game. We're going to have to see Kirk, even though, as I say, the offense has to go through Bijan and Algier. When set up to do so, Kirk is going to have to make those throws. That's just that is what this offense is going to have to run through. But ultimately, I hope everyone enjoys their weekend of football. And listen, birthday weekend for me, obviously, going to be a big weekend. But I just pray to God the Falcons pull this game off on Sunday. I will see you all in the next one.